I always loved Halloween. The costumes, the candy, the parties. It was my favorite time of the year. But this Halloween, something went horribly wrong. It started out as a normal night. I dressed up as a vampire, complete with fake fangs and blood. I met up with my friends at a local bar, where they had a costume contest and a DJ. We had a blast, dancing and drinking and laughing. I even won the prize for the best costume. Around midnight, we decided to go to a haunted house that was nearby. It was supposed to be one of the scariest in the city, with live actors and special effects. We were all excited and curious to see what it had in store for us. We bought our tickets and entered the dark and creepy building. The first few rooms were not that scary, just some cobwebs and skeletons and fake spiders. But as we progressed, things got more intense. We encountered zombies, clowns, witches, and other horror movie characters. They jumped out at us, screamed at us, chased us. Some of them even touched us, grabbing our arms or legs or hair. We were all scared, but also having fun. We screamed and laughed and ran together, holding each other's hands. We thought it was all part of the show. But then we reached the final room. It was a large hall with a stage at the end. On the stage, there was a huge wooden cross with a man nailed to it. He was wearing a crown of thorns and a white cloth around his waist. He looked like Jesus Christ. But he was not Jesus Christ. He was my brother. He had been missing for 2 weeks. He was alive. He looked at me with his bloodshot eyes and whispered, "Help me." I froze in shock and horror. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How did he end up here? Who did this to him? Why? I heard a loud voice behind me. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finale of our haunted house. Tonight, you will witness a live crucifixion. And you are not just spectators, you are participants. You have the power to decide the fate of this poor soul. Will you save him or kill him? The choice is yours." I turned around and saw a man in a black cloak and a mask. He was holding a microphone in one hand and a remote control in the other. He pointed at me and said, You are the lucky one. You get to make the decision. Press the green button to free him, or press the red button to electrocute him. You have 10 seconds to choose. What will it be?" I felt everyone's eyes on me. I heard them whispering and murmuring. I saw my friends looking at me with fear and confusion. I saw my brother looking at me with pain and hope. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if this was real or not. I didn't know if this was a prank or not. I didn't know if this was a nightmare or not. But I had to do something. I had to make a choice. I reached for the remote control. And then, I pressed the green button. I hoped that it would free my brother from his torture. I hoped that it would end this nightmare. I hoped that it would save his life. But nothing happened. The man in the black cloak laughed and said, "Oops, sorry, wrong button. That was just a dummy. The real buttons are here." He showed me another remote control, with 2 buttons, one red and one blue. "Now let's try again. Red or blue? You have 10 seconds to choose." Tick-tock, tick-tock. I felt a surge of anger and frustration. This was not fair. This was not a game. This was my brother's life. How could he do this to us? How could he enjoy this? I looked at my brother again. He was still hanging on the cross, bleeding and suffering. He looked at me with his eyes full of tears and said, "Please, just end it. I can't take it anymore. I love you." I felt a pang of sadness and guilt. He was my brother. I loved him too. I couldn't let him suffer like this. I couldn't let him die like this. I made up my mind. I reached for the remote control. And then, I pressed the blue button. I hoped that it would free my brother from his torture. I hoped that it would end this nightmare. I hoped that it would save his life. But nothing happened. The man in the black cloak laughed again and said, "Oh, you poor thing. You really thought that was the right button? You really thought that you had a choice? You really thought that you could save him? How naive. How foolish. How pathetic." He showed me another remote control, with two buttons, one yellow and one purple. This is the real remote control. This is the one that controls his fate. And guess what? You don't get to choose anymore. I do. He pressed the yellow button. A loud zap echoed through the hall. My brother screamed in agony. He convulsed on the cross. He stopped breathing. He died. The man in the black cloak clapped his hands and said, "Bravo, bravo! What a show! What a performance! What a tragedy! Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our star of the night, the crucified brother." The crowd erupted in applause. They cheered and whistled and shouted. They loved our pain. They loved our death. They loved our horror. They were all monsters. And so was I.